The show is brought to you by Coffee Cola Canada. On a hot day like today, up in here in Canada, it's almost 40 degrees, and I look for other alternatives to coffee. This is a caffeinated, coffee infused tonic. And you know what? It goes well with your favorite mixed drinks right after work with bourbon, with whiskey. I love it. And you can check them all out at coffeecolacanada.com. I got Soho Johnny from New York right here, right now. Meet me for coffee. How's it going, man?
All right, pretty good. I'm going to definitely check out that coffee. It sounds great.
You know what? I mixed it with bourbon. Fantastic. And whiskey. And it's good because usually you have a soft drink or a Red Bull and it makes you thirsty after. This is just, it's perfect. It doesn't have too much caffeine, doesn't have too much coffee taste. And then for me, like I started a show about coffee. I mean, uh, coffee taste is good, but sometimes it can be overpowering and too acidic. This is perfect for your mixed drinks, for your ice. And it's originally a Russian company, finally made his land here in Canada. And I hope that they spread like wildfire. I know a lot of people want to try it. And I just want to tell you that this would be pretty good for your events as well if you want to serve it, because these guys are awesome. They've got the ammo to back it up, and I really love it. And I could definitely recommend it to you if you want a case. And let's just get things started. Soho Johnny, how'd you get that name, man? It's such an awesome name.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show, George, today. Soho Johnny was authentically 4 generations in Soho in the Big Apple, New York City, Manhattan, of my family working and since my grandfather back probably, gosh, about 100 years ago, and different businesses and different enterprises. I mean, they're like the traditional story is for many of our families, immigrants, poor immigrants, they came to the country to try to make a living. Back then, just to put some food on the table. And somehow my grandfather's gotten to some transportation and I guess recycling, if you will, although back then it wasn't such a big buzzword. A trucking business, and then my father and my uncles and so on and so forth. So, as I was coming up, Soho Johnny kind of stuck with me with something out of my buddies, and ended up becoming a brand name for my company, my platform.
That's awesome. And your father had a trucking business when you're growing up, right?
My grandfather
Grandfather.
and my father and my uncles, and then we kind of branched out, and then myself, and I have a younger brother. So we took it over. I mean, we sold it years ago, and then I got involved with the entertainment world and real estate as well. It's like, basically I'm just a real estate guy behind the desk with a passion for music and a little philanthropy that really puts a lot of wind in my sails, and how Soho Johnny all kind of got started. But I guess we'll get into that in a few minutes.
It's there's quite the glare on your face right now, Johnny.
Oh, again,
There's lots of sun, man.
I think
It just affirms your need for coffee cola. There we go. There we go. Yeah, man. You know what? Being a philanthropist is good, and also music. There's so much to give back. Putting on events, I used to put them on as well, and I hope to in the future. And maybe even come to some of your events and check them out. Talk about your events. How you get you got some pretty big disco people on your shows and stuff like that, right?
Well, I think maybe I should take a step back because, here I am, a guy just from the city, how I got involved with all this stuff.
Sure.
When I was a kid, and I consider myself blessed being brought up, in like we call the Boogie Down Bronx, okay, in the city, because we're such a melting pot of people from all different background, ethnicities, working together for a common goal. And I always consider that a second education, a good education to be had. And, the Bronx, I mean, usually I say the Bronx was different back then than it is now. I mean, there was gangs in the street, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Of course, with current events now, there's a little hiccup here, but hopefully things are going to be worked out and everything's going to work out for everybody. But, when I was in grammar school, after school, a lot of my friends would come to my parents. Eventually, we lived in an apartment and eventually got a house, and then we had a garage in the backyard. And I ended up hanging out in the garage with my buddies and my friends. I had a little strobe light and a black light, and back then it was rock, which is now classic rock music, and I just ended up having parties and entertaining. And back then, I think all our parents, my friends' parents, they were so happy that we were back there rather than on the streets after school. They knew we were there, but it was kind of cool. And then it kind of, more from there. I started doing bigger parties and reunions as I got older, and family reunions. I mean, it wasn't really not like a catering hall or anything. It was just a love of entertainment and just like, putting smile on people's faces, and so on and so forth. So then I was taking bigger steps, and I kind of got involved more with entertainment, and met a lot of great people. I'm very, very fortunate. And I had lost my dad to cancer, and I ended up doing some things for the American Cancer Society and throwing events for cancer. And the one that you just referred to was probably, it was an all-day festival last August in Stamford, Connecticut. And for those of the audience that resonate with what is now, I guess you call classic disco, some freestyle music, I'll give some names. I was very privileged to have so much love for what I was doing for cancer. And I had so many, I mean, that's really so important. I mean, that is really, there's always the business side of it, George, when you're in any type of business, okay? But, it's an intangible return on investment to have all these people show you love for what you're doing. So I had Denny Terrio, who had a show, Dance Fever. I guess it was back in the 70s, and he taught John Travolta how to dance for Saturday Night
Wow,
Fever.
no way.
He was co-hosting it with me. I was honored to have him. I had Tavares, the group Tavares, Heat Wave, Sharon Brown, Fonda Ray, Double Exposure, Instant Funk, Arnell Carmichael from Radio. He sang that song Jack and Jill. Planet Patrol, Harold Melvin's Blue Notes, Double Exposure. I had Terry DeSario, and I had Monty Rock the Dirt. I call him my Mr. Magnificent. He was the DJ in the movie Saturday Night Fever, and he did that classic song that people will remember, Disco Tex and the Sexolettes, a famous thing. My chiffon is wet, my wig is wet. I love him. But I met so many beautiful people, and it's so much, it just drives me. I continue to go forward in that respect. I'm doing some recording of myself of some music. And, I think what, the common denominator, George, with a lot of people and artists is, they share that certain passion that comes from within. All right.
It's true.
And, I usually talk about this on shows such as this. And, when you marry something like that with something philanthropic, because you're doing something of outreach, touching others in a positive way, and you're doing something, but you're also doing it with a form of expression such as music, okay, and it's something that you love, then you kind of step outside of yourself. When I was a kid, I used to stutter. I was a very nervous kid. And here I am doing shows, and I'm animated. I'll get up in front of everybody, and I'll do a performance myself. I'll sing, I'll belt, I'll tell a couple of jokes, and all the artists, I treat them like family. I mean, they're not just coming for a show. I tell them they come in, and we're all here to make people smile. Especially, it's so important now, even though we're cooped up because of social distancing and having to stay home for a certain period of time. I say that social distancing does not equate to social isolation.
That is very true.
If anything, it's the opposite. It's more important for us to unite and to communicate with each other, maybe not physically touching, but certainly, I tell a lot of people that I deal with and friends that, we're home, keep a structure, make a time to work out or do some exercise. We've got to keep the body, the engine going. We only have one engine with us all our lives. We've got a time to work, a time to this. And spend some time to go through your Rolodex or your contacts on your mobile phone and call people that you haven't spoken to, from the closest to the farthest. Say, hey, how you doing? Just crack a joke and just outreach. It's so very important in these trying times as well.
Well, it's very important to keep in contact with people just in general, right? You don't know when that next opportunity is going to come around, and that sun just beating down on you, man. Like,
I know. It's just that time of day. I'm going to play with this a little bit. Is that a little bit better? I'm trying to get. I'm going to have to keep adjusting it as I'm going right here. So I think
It's
that's.
all good. It's all good. We're keeping it fun, man, and that's what it's all about. Keeping it fun, having a few laughs while we're at it. I did a podcast once, and I had a lot of sun in my eyes as well at one point. It's just God showing me that I'm doing a good thing. And I think you're quite the star, man. This is pretty cool. So you record your own music as well. So do you sing? Do you play the instruments? How does it go?
I don't play instruments. I wish I did when I was younger. I wish I would have just went that route. Probably would have been a guitar. But it's just I'm doing a couple of tribute songs now, and a lot of things are just focused on this event that's kind of going to be quote unquote launch, which is going to be Thanksgiving Eve, which is probably going to be in Manhattan, in New York City. We have the venue now. I'm just we're firming things up as we speak, and we're going to have some very. I'm just so blessed. I've got a lot of people banding to the cause. This one, and I don't want to go in tangential into a negative here when I say this, okay? But I think it's important to be very, very real, okay? So I just lost my mom, okay, to the
Sorry, man.
coronavirus, okay?
Wow.
And of course, there's time for mourning and everything, but it affected a lot of people in a lot of ways. So naturally, as I did for my dad, this is going to be something that I'm doing for my mom to raise money and something. And I started a foundation called Let Me Help, which is going to be launched. And I've got some interesting, I may have some A-listers that are coming for this show in Manhattan. And, we've got a reality show in the works. We've got a lot of exciting things. And again, it's not about me, George. It's about us. It's about all of us. And, that kid that was stuttering when I was a young kid, I think the secret sauce is that you remove yourself from your body kind of, because when you're doing something good and you have that contact with people, it just, then you feel like you could just go through walls. And I think that's part of it for many, many talented artists and beautiful people as well.
Do you have a website for the new foundation?
No, we don't have a website yet. It's really, pretty hot off the presses. Of course, SohoJohnny.com is my website, Soho Johnny LLC, and John Soho Johnny Pasquale on Facebook, Instagram, and Soho Johnny on YouTube. But we're making all the announcements. And the mailing list, there's an email list on SohoJohnny.com for alerts and everything. But we'll be making it a formal announcement now. So we don't have a website yet for Let Me Help.
That's fantastic. My condolences about your mother. I know, it's a very hard time for many people. People are passing away by themselves in the hospital. And
oh my God. Listen, we could talk about that and take up a lot of time on your show, and it's so important because there's so many people. Listen, people pass. Listen, if there's anything, death is what defines our life. Okay? Because without death, life would have less meaning, right? If everyone lived forever. So it's so important. And part of my sayings on my website, you'll see, is every day is a blessing and a gift. Okay. There's so many people. I mean, my mom was 93, God bless her. And I count my blessings that I had her so long. Okay. And of course I grieve, and everybody has to allow themselves to grieve, but there's so many people out there that are hurt or whatever. I mean, you look at your Facebook, your social media, and it's so important that we have outreach to each other now. I believe always that that there's light. There's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel, and it depends on if we deal with the facts. Remember, fear is the enemy with dealing with all these things in life, and that things will get better as long as we deal with the facts. Of course, we protect ourselves, and we keep we keep our eye on our humanity. Okay, it's all about our humanity and just being together and all this, and just kind of being there for each other.
I think you're summing it up in this phrase here. Share the love. Share the love, feel the love, give the love. Even though when someone doesn't want to take it, I'm sure they need it. It's good to be generous. It's good to be gracious. And I wake up every day and I'm very happy for what I have. And that's something that takes a long time to get to, right? I mean, personally for me, I was the opposite way. Now I'm grateful for everything I have, and things are going a lot better than they were before, So share the love, get along with each other, to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. Talk to anybody. Find that person, that friend that you may have had that falling out with, and just call them and make up with them. It doesn't take too long to settle your differences. You're doing an awesome thing. SohoJohnny.com is where they can find you, right?
Absolutely. And you just hit the nail on the head. If we could all just wake up and start our day with that notion that this day is a gift that I have, and how am I going to use it? Okay. And it's so important that we all are, no matter what you do in life, no matter what you have or don't have, in some manner, shape, or form, remember, you are a role model to somebody else. What do you want to be? It could be as simple as walking down the street and putting a smile on an elderly woman's face. What a beautiful day it is, you know? And, just they say that, dropping something into the water, that simple ripple could change the universe, okay? And those little things, we have many ripples going around, make a difference in the world. And I think we need to have more of that. I believe in the spirit of humanity and doing this. And there's a lot of people out there that are doing beautiful things, that are rising up with everything that's going on, and doing some great things, and that are banding. But it's important that we always continue to relate to each other this way and just keep it going. And you know what, George, I want to give a shout out to you as well for your
Thank you.
show, because you are a light out in a lot of what's going on here. So I want to thank you for everything that you do as well.
Well, thanks for making the time to speak with me, man. And you know what? It's good to meet somebody that has such a refreshing personality and thinks just the way I think. You you walk down the street, you see somebody, you don't know them. It's okay. Hey, how's it going? How are you? Good. I'm good. Thanks. That's all it takes, right? It doesn't take much to make somebody's day. And it doesn't take much just to have that little conversation with someone, especially during times like these. We don't want to dwell on them. These will be over soon. We will recover from this. And that's the way you got to look forward. Always look forward, never look backwards. Just remember things, but don't let it get you hung up. Johnny, I ask this to everyone on my show. It's about coffee. I know promoters like you must drink coffee to keep yourself going, don't you?
Absolutely. Coffee.
So
I'm a major coffee drinker, cappuccino, regular coffee my whole life. My dad, it's it, starting the day.
how do you take your coffee?
Uh, I like it a little bit light. Okay. I use stevia. Okay. I stay away from the sugar, but I gotta have it. Even if it's later on in the day, I'll have a decaf, but I'll definitely have, it's definitely maybe at least 3, 4 times a day. I have to have my coffee. So it's
Fantastic.
almost like my security blanket, but it's part of my lifestyle. It's part of the American lifestyle, right? It's coffee is very, very important. That's why I'm definitely interested in the coffee product you mentioned before. I think that's a great idea backstage for the guys or the performers. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. I'll connect you
Thank
if
you.
you want. I'll connect you guys. Thanks a lot, Johnny. And we'll catch you next time. Hopefully we'll stay in touch and wish you the best of luck.
Well, as I say in my website, the breath of love is spoken in the language of musical expression. Okay, because that's a common medium that unites us all. It's one of the tie that binds is entertainment, music, and resonating positively with everybody. So with love and appreciation always. Again, George, thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you.